Revealed. My heartwarming story of unexpected betrayal. Son gave his mother-in-law a BMW. I got 3. John Mitchell woke up that morning with the sun streaming in through the window, casting a warm glow over his cluttered bedroom. It was his birthday, but he didn't have balloons or cake waiting for him. Just a measly 3 to celebrate another trip around the sun. Still, he felt hopeful for his wife, Sarah, and their 2 kids. After years of working in his small auto repair shop in bustling Ohio, he believed in the American dream. He had dedicated everything to his family, always dreaming of providing them with a life full of opportunities he never had. As he wiped the grease from his hands after fixing a truck, John's heart swelled with pride. Each turn of the wrench, every tire change, was a step toward securing a better future for his kids. But today felt different. As he shuffled through the day's chores, a heaviness settled in his chest. When he heard the news, it was almost like the ground beneath him shook. His son David had decided to surprise his wealthy mother-in-law with a shiny new BMW, one that glistened with the kind of privilege John had sacrificed so much to keep his family away from. Staring at the news blaring from his phone, the harsh reality hit him. How could David? It felt like a betrayal, as if he had lost a piece of his role as a father. John couldn't shake the bitterness that crept in. He felt like an outsider at his own family table, the proud mechanic replaced by the shadow of his son's aspirations. Tension brewed silently at home. The conversations that once flowed with laughter turned into battlegrounds of guilt and unspoken expectations. During dinner that evening, as they all gathered around the table, John's heart raced. The atmosphere was thick with awkward silence, punctured only by laughter from David's phone as he posted pictures of the BMW online. John couldn't help but feel resentment bubble beneath the surface. He was losing his connection to his son, and the pain of it tore him apart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night wore on, John realized he could no longer hide from his feelings. He wanted to speak, to tell David how much he loved him, how proud he was, but it felt impossible to reach over the chasm of disappointment. Just then the doorbell rang. Neighbors from the tight-knit community had arrived at the house, rallying around to support John, reminding him of the love and respect he had earned through decades of hard work. When David stepped up to the podium at the fundraiser, John's heart thundered in his chest. Would this be the moment? Would David acknowledge his sacrifices? The air thick with anticipation, John felt hope flicker in his chest, praying that love and forgiveness could bridge the growing gap between them. Just as David opened his mouth to speak, every eye in the room fixed on him, waiting for the truth that could either heal or further splinter their family apart. Would this be the moment of reckoning? John held his breath, heart racing, yearning for a resolution, but could they truly find their way back to each other? David stood at the podium, his confident posture contrasting sharply with the turmoil rolling through John's mind. The room was a mixture of soft chatter and soft clinking of glasses, but for John it was just a deafening silence. The world around him blurred, his eyes fixed solely on his son, the boy who had once idolized him. As David cleared his throat, the chatter dwindled. With every passing second, John's heart ratcheted higher, almost physically pulling him closer to the edge of the seat. What would David say? Would he reflect on their life together, where they had come from, and the unyielding work that had gone into crafting their present moment? John couldn't shake the doubt that simmered, a raw reminder of the betrayal he felt. Thank you all for being here tonight, David began, his voice resonating through the hall. John caught the slight quiver, the flicker of uncertainty that flashed across his son's face. It was enough to stoke John's hope, just slightly, before it was quickly doused by darker thoughts. Did David even consider how much his actions had hurt him? As the speech went on, David spoke earnestly about family, love, and community, but the mention of the BMW felt suffocating. It hovered over John's heart, an unwelcome ghost in this gathering meant to celebrate their ties. Each mention of support felt like an arrow aimed at John, who had poured everything into showing his family what it meant to sacrifice for one another. He felt invisible, drowning in his son's idealistic reflections on life, while his reality felt starkly different. Then, as if sensing his father's turmoil, David paused. The words stuck, hovering in the air like a dense fog. "Tonight I want to dedicate this moment to someone special," he said. His gaze drifted across the room and landed on John. "Dad, you've always taught me the value of hard work and honesty. You taught me that life isn't about the car you drive, but about the love you share. I can't thank you enough." For a moment, hope surged in John's chest, but it quickly collided with confusion. Was this an apology? Or was it merely a momentary nod to familial loyalty? But then John caught the glint in David's eye. He was still grappling with his own choices, the acknowledgement that perhaps his flashy gift stemmed from a need to impress rather than a need to love. John felt a swelling of emotions crashing around in him, pride mingling with hurt, as if both could coexist in harmony yet conflict deeply. "Every man has a dream," David continued, building momentum he could sense was lighting the fire within. "And I know my dreams can sometimes make us disconnect. But I refuse to let this stop me from loving you, Dad. Let us not let a car define us. Please forgive me if I've hurt you." Tears brimmed in John's eyes. Forgive? How could he forgive when the roots of disappointment ran so deep? The applause that echoed around the room jolted him back to reality. He realized then that this wasn't just about a car. It was a crossroads, a chance for healing. John knew their next words could either fracture or fortify their relationship. Could he speak? Could he truly let the forgiveness sink in? Or was the gap just too wide? As John rose slowly, his heart pounding, he realized this might be the moment he'd been waiting for. But as he opened his mouth to speak, the power of his emotions caught him off guard. An internal struggle churned. Could he find the right words to heal them both? All eyes turned to him, anticipation hanging in the air, waiting for the father's voice to bridge the divide. Would his response bring them back together, or drive them further apart? John felt the weight of 1,000 eyes on him, their hopeful gazes holding more pressure than he could bear. The applause faded into an uneasy silence, his heart thudding like a drum. His throat tightened as he struggled to find a voice, to craft a response that could somehow reflect the tumultuous mix of pride and pain thrumming beneath his skin. "David," he finally began, his voice hoarse, I appreciate what you just said." The words stumbled out, and he could see the tension in David's shoulders ease just a fraction. "No, really. You've worked hard to get to where you are, and I'm proud of you. I am." His throat burned with the effort of admitting his pride amidst the bitterness. The audience's eyes flickered with a mixture of empathy and anticipation. "But," he continued, taking a deep breath to center himself, "you must understand that sometimes the things we do, the things we think will show love, don't come across that way." He paused, searching David's face for understanding, trying to connect the dots between a father's love and a son's ambition. The crowd held its breath, caught in the fragile web of father-son emotions. "It hurts to feel like I've been left behind. I want you to chase your dreams, but don't forget about the sacrifices made to support those very dreams. Remember that love doesn't come wrapped in a bow either. It's messy, complicated. It's in the everyday actions, the unseen struggles." There was a moment of stillness as David's expression shifted, processing his father's words. The tension in the room was palpable, charged with every unspoken feeling between them. "I was wrong, Dad," David said, his voice barely above a whisper, eyes glistening. "I thought having things would make me feel, well, like I had made it. But I didn't consider how it would affect you." "Material things don't matter to me," John replied, emotion surfacing like a wave. "You matter. Your happiness is what I care about." Their eyes locked, searching for the truth amidst the emotional wreckage. They belonged to the same family, bound by blood and shared history, yet had been drifting like strangers. David took a step closer, vulnerability etched on his face. "I don't want to be the son who lost the connection, Dad. Can we start fresh? I want to find a way to make it work." John felt his heart swell. Hope flickered, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he could imagine a bridge rising over the chasm that had separated them. But then a flicker of doubt crept back in. Could they really rebuild what had been broken? The pain hadn't vanished. How could a single moment mend years of misunderstanding? But the raw honesty between them felt like the start of something new, a tentative beginning to heal old wounds. The applause erupted again, but this time it was electric, a mix of relief and joy reverberating around the hall. John felt warm tears spill over as he looked at David, nervous yet hopeful. "Let us take it one step at a time," John murmured. "I think we can do this together." David nodded, visibly relieved, and the audience erupted once more in applause, but it was the quiet murmur between them that mattered most. Yet, just as John felt that the gulf between them was narrowing, an unexpected voice broke through the moment, a voice they both recognized. John turned, every ounce of joy draining from him as he saw Sarah, David's mother and John's ex-wife, standing at the edge of the crowd, her expression unreadable. What would her presence mean for this fragile reconnection? Would it only complicate things further? John's heart sank as uncertainty tightened around him. What would Sarah's next move be? John's eyes stayed locked on Sarah, his ex-wife, as the room began to spin. The applause faded into a dull thrum in the background. He could see the raw emotion crackling in the air around him like static electricity, charged and dangerous. "Dad?" David's voice pulled him back, a hesitant inquiry breaking through the haze. John blinked, shaking his head slightly as if to clear his thoughts. The bittersweet warmth shared just moments ago now was overshadowed by a looming uncertainty. "What is she doing here?" John whispered, more to himself than to David. The memories flooded back. The arguments, the tears, the way they had unraveled into two separate lives. Sarah had once been his partner in everything, but time and choices had shifted them into distant realities. He felt a mix of anger and an old, familiar ache. Sarah took a step closer, her expression softening slightly, though it was difficult to tell if she was relieved or just masking her true feelings. "I heard about the presentation, John. I didn't want to miss this," she said, her voice steady yet tinged with something tingling beneath the surface. The audience's murmurs intensified, sensing the charged tension. David's gaze bounced between his parents, confusion marring his features. "Mom, why did you come?" The innocence in his voice struck John deeply. How many times had David found himself in the middle of their battles? "Because I care about you both," Sarah responded calmly, but her gaze bore the weight of years of unspoken words. "Think we all need to talk." "Talk?" John felt his heart drop. "About what?" "How things fell apart. How you decided to leave when we both needed each other." His voice cracked, betraying the rawness that still lay close to the surface. Sarah's eyes softened, a flicker of regret passing through them momentarily. "No, John, the first came here because I wanted to understand." She sighed, looking back at David. "I know I've made choices that hurt both of you, and I want to fix this. I want to fix us." David shook his head, spine straightening with determination. "Don't you dare act like you want to fix things now. You left Mom. You chose someone else over us. We've gone through so much since then." John felt a surge of pride for David's words, but the chill still settled in his bones. The past was like a ghost ready to rise and haunt them once more. He thought of all those silent nights where they had pieced together their lives, struggling under the weight of both love and loss. "I know," Sarah replied evenly, "but if you really want to rebuild, then now is our chance. We need to face our mistakes together." John felt the air grow heavy. Could they really face the past and find a way forward? Felt impossible. Just as hope had begun to crack through the weight of resentment, it now resurfaced again in despair. He was torn, hanging between wanting to break from the chains of old disappointments and the hope of reconciliation. "Maybe it's too late," he said quietly, almost as if he were contemplating his own heart. Silence followed, thick and almost suffocating, as they all processed the weight of those words. But David took a bold step forward, grabbing John's attention. "We have to make a choice. Are we going to let the past dictate our future?" His voice trembled but remained resolute. John watched as emotion flickered between them like a heartbeat. David was right. A decision loomed ahead like a mist hanging in the morning air. John prepared to respond. A flicker of doubt crossed Sarah's face. "There's something I haven't told either of you. Something that changes everything." Her voice trembled, cutting through the fog. What could possibly change everything? John's pulse raced, heart pounding with dread and anticipation. What had she kept hidden? The truth hung before him, a shadow of revelation waiting to unfold. John's heart thudded in his chest, each beat echoing the unsteady rhythm of his thoughts. The room had grown quiet, the world outside their little triad fading into insignificance. David stood beside him, fists clenched, ready to defend the emotional fortress they had built together after Sarah's departure. Something that changes everything? John finally managed, his voice barely above a whisper. He searched Sarah's face for a hint of what could possibly alter their reality yet again. Hope and fear danced within him, a twisting knot that threatened to unspool. Sarah inhaled deeply, as if bracing herself for a leap into icy waters. I should have told you both a long time ago. I didn't just leave you both for someone else. I was scared. Her voice softened. I was pregnant when I left. The words hit the air like a lead weight, pushing against John's chest. He blinked, struggling to process the enormity of her declaration. Pregnant? The memories of their life together, filled with dreams of family and laughter, surged like relentless waves. David's eyes widened, the innocence in them replaced with confusion and disbelief. You were pregnant? He echoed, voice trembling. How could you leave us without saying anything? I thought I was protecting you, Sarah replied, her gaze dropping to the floor. The ground beneath seemed to shift as if shaking off the past. I didn't want to introduce more chaos into a situation that was already falling apart. I thought it's what was best for everyone. John felt his face redden with a mix of anger and deep sorrow. Best for everyone? You mean best for you? The words slipped out before he could catch them, each one dripping with disbelief. John, please, she pleaded, her voice cracking. I kept it a secret because I didn't know how to face you. I thought it would ruin David's life even more. David shifted uncomfortably, glancing between his parents, grappling with the weight of his mother's betrayal. You think keeping this from me is okay? You think it would make it better? His voice climbed with each word tinged with hurt. Is there a sibling out there? Sarah took another deep breath, fighting back tears. I gave the child up for adoption. I thought it was the right thing to do, she whispered, her vulnerability piercing through the tension. But knowing I've deprived both of you of the truth, it haunts me every day. John felt as if the ground beneath him were crumbling. He searched the emotions swirling in his heart. Anger, betrayal. A strange longing for answers yet laden with hurt. Yet a flicker of understanding sparked to life in the shadows of his pain. Was she here to heal, or just to unearth the wounds? Did you ever think what it would be like for us? He asked more calmly now, frustration giving way to sorrow. To have you just vanish, then learn you've started a whole new life without us? Sarah looked up, desperation swimming in her eyes. I know it doesn't excuse my actions. But I want to be here now. I want to be a part of your lives again. Silent seconds passed, stretching into what felt like a cavern of uncertainty. David blinked furiously, stubborn tears betraying his facade. And what about this child? John pressed. Do you want to find them? Sarah's breath hitched, her own turmoil evident. I can't. I haven't let myself think about it until now. I had to focus on surviving. Surviving? John echoed. His instincts screamed at him, pulling him away from the possibility of renewed bonds with Sarah. But David stood resolute, bewildering both parents with his unwillingness to let the past consume them. We lost you, Mom. We don't need another ghost drifting in and haunting who's left, David said firmly but softly, glancing at John, as if gathering strength together. Yet John felt the tendrils of a fragile hope weaving around the sick knot in his heart. Could they possibly navigate this new revelation into some semblance of peace? Tell us what you want, Sarah, John finally said. The question lay in the air, heavy with expectation. Whatever her answer would shape the direction of their lives. Moving forward, threading the past with their uncertain future. Could they really confront the shadows together? Or would this revelation tear them apart even more deeply? Sarah's gaze drifted slowly from the floor to John's eyes, filled with a mixture of fear and determination. Her voice trembled as she spoke. I want to start over. I want to be a mother to you both. I know it's a lot to ask, but I'm here now. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. A silence enveloped the room, thick and heavy. David exhaled sharply, flicking his gaze away. Start over. Just like that? He challenged, his tone cutting through the stillness. How do you just turn up after all these years and say you want in? Don't you think it's a bit selfish? John felt the air crackle with tension. He had so many feelings swirling inside him: anger, confusion, and yes, a flicker of hope that they could somehow mend this shattered family. David, maybe she's right. Maybe we should hear her out, he said, the words stumbling from his mouth against the tightness in his throat. David shook his head vigorously, his frustration spilling over. You can't be serious. She just revealed she had a baby and gave it away. What do we even know about her now? He turned to Sarah, his eyes fierce. You expect us to just forget how you left us? I know Sarah wiped away a single tear, her vulnerability raw. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want to be better. Not just for you but for myself too. I've spent so long hiding from my past, and now I don't want to hide any longer. John fought against the rising tide of emotion choking him. Part of him wanted desperately to believe in her words. Could this be more than just promises? What does being better look like for you, Sarah? He asked, trying to sift through the layers of hope and betrayal. It means acknowledging my mistakes. It means finding out what it means to be a family again, even if it looks different now, she replied softly. David folded his arms, unwilling to give an inch, yet the vulnerability on his mother's face caused cracks in his defenses. And you think being here is enough? He asked quietly. What about the baby you gave up? Do you think they're okay? Do you even care? The question hung heavily. A shadow shimmered behind Sarah's composure, threatening to spill forth. Of course I care, she replied, the cracks in her voice echoing a truth she could no longer deny. I think about them every day. But for so long I was lost. I didn't know how to carry that grief along with everything else. And now I'm so ashamed. I didn't want my past to hurt you both. John's heart clenched. They were standing at the edge of an abyss that seemed ready to swallow them whole. What if this isn't the right time? What if this attempt at being a family only digs us deeper into pain? He asked, testing the waters that felt so unstable beneath him. Well, we can't just sit here in silence either, she said, desperation flashing across her face. What if we tried? Just a little? I need you to know I'm ready to fight for our family. If you'll let me. In the fragile moment that followed, David met John's gaze. Both felt the weight of Sarah's possibilities crash against the walls they had built. The thought hung in the air like a symphony waiting for its conductor. Maybe there's more healing to be done than we realize, John finally found himself saying, step by step edging closer to what Sarah was offering. The flickering light of understanding began to burn, fragile yet persistent, as the three of them stood on uncertain ground, trying to comprehend a future woven by frailty and the chance to become whole again. But as the heaviness of truth began to settle, a new concern gnawed at John. What about the child? Are we really ready to face that reality? In that moment the answer felt far from reach, and uncertainty hung thicker than ever. Would they be able to confront the memories Sarah had buried? Or would the shadows of the past forever haunt their renewed beginnings? The room grew smaller as the tension thickened. John's mind raced. His heart pounded in sync with the unsteady rhythm of uncertainty. What child? He thought, biting his lip, grappling with a truth that felt like a jagged edge pressing against his chest. Sarah's eyes searched his face, as if trying to navigate the labyrinth of emotions swirling inside him. I'll tell you everything, I promise, she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. But right now, can we just try to be here? David's glare was like a shield, unwavering and unyielding. You don't get to dictate how this goes, Sarah. You lost that right a long time ago. His voice cracked, revealing an unexpected depth of pain. It was the voice of a son who had felt abandoned, a boy who had basked in the shadows of absence. Maybe I deserve to be treated like this, but I am still trying to stand here to change. Her plea cut through the bitterness in the air. Raw sincerity mingled with hope. I want to know you both. I want a chance to be part of your lives again. Please allow me to share my truth. John's heartbeat steadied as he turned toward his brother, recognizing the pain etched in his features. Was it better to slam the door shut, leaving everything behind? Or was it time to kick the walls down and confront the chaos together? David, he said softly, it's difficult for her too. We might be angry, but don't we owe it to ourselves to listen? David faltered for just a moment, that flicker of stubbornness straining against a flickering light of vulnerability. Listening doesn't mean forgiving, he muttered, but even he sounded unsure. True, Sarah raised her voice a notch, but you can't find peace in resentment. We're all suffering here. I know I destroyed your trust and I can't take it back, but I want to build something new. Tears pooled in her eyes as she clenched the emotional turmoil that felt too fragile to express openly. The silence stretched on, holding them captive. John's chest tightened as he processed her words. Was there a world where they could rebuild? Tell us about the other baby, David finally said, breaking the silence, his tone still sharp. If you want us to start over, you need to lay it all out. Sarah nodded, wiping the remnants of doubt from her brow. They are my secret shame, but they are also part of who I am. I gave them up because I thought it was what was best. I didn't want to drag them into a life that I wasn't sure I could handle. And every day since I've regretted it. John felt the air grow thick again. Regret 1 6 years of absence, Sarah, he shot back, frustration spilling over into his voice. How do we reconcile these pieces? By facing the truth, she replied fiercely. I shared my story to meet you both, to seek a kind of understanding. I want to make it right as best as I can. Please just let me explain. My baby was given away for the right reasons, but it's broken my heart. I need to rectify that hurt. Even if it's not about me being a mother to them, I want to be here for you both. John trembled, unsure of what to believe, every pulse thrumming with the weight of unspoken words. David clenched his fists, caught between the walls of the past and an unclear future. Maybe we can get through this, but we need to talk. All of us. If we don't confront the truth, then none of this matters. As the quiet fell like a blanket, hope and dread twisted together, waiting for the next move. Neither brother wanted to accept it, yet neither could deny the uncharted territory they were all about to step into. Would they dare to journey through the pain and memories? Suddenly, John found himself both afraid and compelled. What if instead of shame we explore this together, finding out what we've avoided? He said slowly, a cautious optimism in his voice, threading through the uncertain air. And just like that, the door to their future creaked open slightly, leaving everything hanging on a whispered possibility. Would they take that first step into the unknown? Or allow fear to push them back into silence? Sarah's breath came in quick bursts, her heart racing alongside John's. Each whispered possibility hung heavy in the air, almost tangible, drawing them all closer together yet making the divide feel insurmountable. She could feel David's defiance, a wall she desperately wished to breach. Right reasons? He scoffed, arms crossed tight. What were the right reasons for leaving us, Sarah? For pretending like we never mattered? The way his voice cracked sent a shudder through her. This was more than confrontation. This was his hurt, his confusion boiling to the surface. She needed to tread carefully, yet passion laced her words. It wasn't about you or what you deserved. It was about me, my limitations. I thought I was protecting you. But I see now, her eyes locked with David's. Desperation spilling out, I was wrong. So wrong. John watched the exchange, feeling the unbearable weight of their shared scars. The three of them were linked by threads of sadness, and yet they were all holding different pieces of the same story. David, this isn't just about her mistakes. It's about us too. We've had our own struggles. But she walked away. David shouted, voice rising. You don't just get to come back from that, expecting things to be all fine and dandy. Do you know how it felt? To wake up every day wondering why you weren't there? To carry that in silence? His fists unclenched, but the raw emotions bled through fear, anger, vulnerability. Sarah felt tears rolling down her cheeks, not out of shame but from the depth of her longing. I know, she said softly, lowering her gaze, the tremor in her voice unmistakable. And every moment I've lived since I left has been haunted by that. But I'm here now. I am here, just trying to figure out what happens next. John stepped in, navigating through the thick tension. So what if we all lay it out? Take the pain and put it on the table. Can we do that? Just for tonight? David shifted, still guarded but driven by curiosity underneath the anger. What are you even suggesting? To dive into this messy truth blindly? Guess what, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, Sarah conceded, but neither is avoiding it. Transparency is the only way to heal. I don't want to pretend anymore. Then let us do it, John said, his voice steady, a flicker of determination igniting in his chest. Let us take turns sharing. No cutting each other off. Just speak what's burning inside. David hesitated but nodded, unsure yet unable to resist the call of honesty. The room felt charged like the moment before a storm bursts forth. Fine, David started, his voice low but thought clear. You want to go first, Sarah? What's eating you alive? Tears fell freely now, but Sarah welcomed them. They were a release. I'm terrified of how much I've lost, she said, her words pouring out. I lost a life that mattered more to me than I ever let on. And then I replaced it with this empty space, a silence that screamed my failures. I can't take away the hurt, but I want to breathe in this heaviness with you too. Because the hollowness is unbearable. John held David's gaze, sensing the flicker of understanding creeping in. Then let us keep going, he encouraged. Let us lay it out piece by piece until we reach the heart of it. David glanced at Sarah, uncertainty dancing in his eyes, but he took a breath too. Fine. I'll go next. As they settled into this new rhythm, the night stretched before them, filled with potential. Would unveiling their truths lead to rebuilding or further fractures? With each word spoken, new possibilities began forming, the darkness giving way to fragile beams of hope. And what if uncovering their deepest fears would pave the way for unexpected strength? David took a moment, lips pressed into a thin line as he gathered his thoughts. The weight of Sarah's confession hung between them like a fragile crystal so easily shattered. This was new territory, a place he had never envisioned stepping into again. Fine, he said finally, trying to keep a level voice. I guess it's my turn then. His eyes flashed with a mixture of fury and vulnerability. You think your absence didn't signify anything? It ripped a hole in my whole world. You left me alone to deal with everything, the whispers, the pity, the questions. I had to act strong for everyone, as if I was okay, and inside I was breaking. Sarah's heart ached at the truth in his words. Every syllable he spoke was a reminder of the chaos she had left behind. But you were so strong, she whispered, a desperate Norm trying to bridge the gap. Strong? He laughed bitterly. Just a facade, Sarah. I wasn't strong. I was scared. Every time I saw something I loved, it was like it came with a ghost, a memory of you. He turned slightly to face John. We lost the friends we thought we could count on, and it was all my fault. I should have reached out more, but I was too proud. I waited for you to come back, just hoping. John stepped closer, the growing tension palpable as his compassion grew. We each have our faults. That's what makes this harder, though. We thought we could handle it alone. He gestured as if trying to weave the three of them back into a tapestry. But here we are, the three of us, still holding on to a past that was left open-ended. Sarah felt a flicker of possibility, some thin beam of light slicing through the emotions encircling them. Can we release that pain? She ventured, her voice trembling. Can we make space for something new? David's brow furrowed. But what could that even look like? What's left after so much hurt? We can create something different, John offered, his words steady, but it requires honesty, togetherness. It means understanding each other's scars, even when they seem insurmountable. Sarah nodded, feeling the pressing weight of the moment. I want to know your pain, David. I want to own it with you, not skirt around it. We can blend our hurt into something stronger. Silence enveloped the room, a heavy blanket suffocating any remaining resistance. David shifted, clearly grappling with the idea. But what if this only opens old wounds? What if we can't bear the truth? Or maybe we heal from it, Sarah replied, less confidently but with a glimmer of hope. What if this moment right here is what we need to decide? It's the step to carry us forward together. David turned away for a moment, swallowing hard, wrestling with shadows from years past. But the vulnerability cracked his hardened exterior, pulling him towards the honesty they so desperately needed. I want it to work. I really do. But I can't promise I won't struggle with these feelings. Neither can we, John said softly. But we have to start somewhere. That's what tonight is all about. In that fragile space, each inch taken felt monumental. Sarah could feel their hearts moving, battling fear and uncertainty, while clinging to the flicker of hope. All right, David finally relented, his voice brimming with cautious resolve. Let us let this out. The good, the bad, everything. But I need you two to hear me. No more running, this is all or nothing. As they settled in for the uncomfortable truths yet to come, Sarah realized this was just the beginning. They were standing at the edge of a vast chasm, ready to leap into the unknown. What lay beyond was shrouded in mystery, but there was a thrill in possibility. And Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, facing this head-on would reveal not just their wounds but the strength to soar beyond them. What if they found that strength mirrored in one another, propelling them toward a future that felt completely uncharted? The air crackled with tension, each heartbeat resonating like a drum in the silence that embraced them. John, David, and Sarah stood at a crossroads, united in their pain yet divided by years of silence. Something had shifted. The moment of raw honesty lay fragile yet powerful before them, a chance to break the chains that had bound them in resentment for too long. "Let us go back," David finally said, his voice quaking just a little, "to before everything fell apart." John felt the weight of the moment settle into his chest, heavy yet pregnant with possibility. "Sure," he said, nodding slowly, "but we all need to be brave. It means laying bare our truths." Sarah felt a warmth spread through her as David's gaze softened, a sliver of understanding now shining behind his dark clouds of anger. "You're right," David said. "Jettison the bravado, right?" He shrugged slightly, lightening the moment as he chuckled mirthlessly. "Yes," John agreed, a wry smile creeping across his face. "It's all about letting the walls down." "Okay then," Sarah whispered, gathering her courage like a mantle. "I'll go first." She felt years' worth of sorrow threaten to spill out at once, but her voice steadied. "I want to apologize for not just leaving, but for thinking that sadness only lingered in my own heart. I see now it was everywhere, casting shadows on both of you." David's arms dropped to his sides as he processed her words. "You know," he said, "it hurt me to think I wasn't worth the fight. As a kid I should have felt loved, wanted. You choosing to vanish, it made me feel replaced. Like I never mattered." Sarah's breath hitched in her throat, the truth hitting her hard. "I've spent all these years grappling with that guilt, haunted by your faces in my mind during sleepless nights. I didn't think I could ever return to heal those wounds." She looked intently at them both, searching for eyes that might reflect understanding. "I know I can't undo the past, but I want to be a part of your lives. A real part this time." Sarah's voice cracked, the weight of her emotions finally spilling over. "I want to learn and grow with both of you. I want to walk with you not in shame but in hope." John felt a wave of warmth ripple through the room. He glanced at David, their shared gaze sparking with a glint of possibility. "There was a time when we laughed together, didn't we? Before it fell apart?" John said, trying to grab the positive threads of their past. "Even when life felt heavy, we carried it together. Because we are family." "Yeah," David replied softly, his eyes glistening, allowing a grin to emerge amidst the clouds that gathered. "So maybe we can bond over this chaos? Start new traditions instead of just mourning old ones?" "Traditions?" Sarah echoed, suddenly animated. "What about Friday dinners? I promise to cook. The food won't always be perfect, but we'll create memories, ones that don't remind us of pain, but warmth and laughter." "Okay, sounds good," John agreed, his heart swelling with cautious excitement. "And what about movie nights? The three of us gorging on popcorn, laughing at old comedies?" David chuckled softly. "Whoa, I can't promise to laugh every time, but I'm game for a little nostalgia." "Thank you," Sarah murmured, relief washing over her. "It's a start, right? Togetherness means vulnerability. It's believing we can face past hurts and construct new laughter instead." In that moment, John felt a sense of clarity. Let us forgive ourselves to each other and our own mistakes. It's necessary for new beginnings. We can evolve into a new family, imperfect but beautifully ours. As the silence ebbed, replaced by hope and tentative anticipation, each of them took a step closer. "Oh, and hey," David said suddenly, a teasing grin lifting his lips, "can we please not introduce the BMW into our new tradition? I've seen enough of that car at this point." Laughter erupted, chasing away shadows. The burdens they carried for so long began to lighten, igniting a glow of shared strength to forge ahead. They would face the unknown future together, and together, they chose joy, love, and the promise of new beginnings. As their laughter rang out, soft and melodic, the room filled with the warmth of family reborn from the ashes of heartache, ready to rewrite their story with every new choice they would make together. So, what will you do, dear friends? This is the moment to embrace your own journey of reconnection and healing. Don't hesitate, subscribe immediately to this channel, so you won't miss the next inspiring stories of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference to help us grow. And please comment below with your own reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. We want to hear from you. Finally, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see stories of love, forgiveness, and renewal. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the hope. The time is now.